SCP-004, the 12 Rusty Keys and the Door. Special Containment Procedures. When handling items SCP-004-2 through SCP-004-13, proper procedure is vital. The items are not permitted to be moved off-site unless accompanied by 2 Level 4 security personnel. Under no circumstances should any other component of SCP-004 be taken through SCP-004-1. The effects of doing so are as yet unknown. The current cost of experimentation makes further research impractical. Should any of the objects contained within SCP-004-1 breach containment or the facility be breached, the keys must be brought inside and the door closed prior to activation of Site-62's on-site warhead. Unauthorized removal of keys from the testing area is grounds for immediate termination. Level 1 clearance is required for the basic access to SCP-004-1. Level 4 clearance is required for use of SCP-004-2 through 13. The description of SCP-004 consists of an old wooden barn door, which is known as SCP-004-1, and a set of 12 rusted steel keys, which is SCP-004-2 through 13. The door itself is the entrance to an abandoned factory in Data Expunged. Chronicle History. July 2nd, 1949, a group of 3 juveniles trespassing on federal property near find the door. According to their testimony, they find a set of rusted keys and an iron lockbox and determine what door the keys unlock. The juveniles are taken into custody after they contact Sheriff when one of their friends, SCP-004-CAS-01, goes missing. July 3rd, 1949. Local authorities find the severed right hand of SCP-004-CAS-01, 8 kilometers from SCP-004-1. Other parts of 004-CAS-01 body are found scattered as far as 32 kilometers from the factory. Under interrogation, the apprehended juveniles tell authorities that upon opening the door with one of the keys, CAS-1 was torn into several pieces, each of which disappeared. At this point, the SCP Foundation takes over the investigation. July 4th of 49. Agent Blank obtains the keys from the local authorities to begin testing. Tests show that SCP-004-2 through SCP-004-13 all fit into a single lock on the large barred door. 12 Class T personnel are assigned to test the effects of the door. Of the 12 test subjects, each trying a different key to enter the room, only 2 survive. Opening the door with any key except for 004-7 or 004-12 causes the test subjects to be torn apart in multiple directions. However, no dismembered parts were found until later. At the time of writing, only 2 parts of each subject have been recovered, with the exception of the test subject using 004-unknown, whose pieces were scattered in close proximity. The others have, for all intents and purposes, vanished from existence. Of the 2 surviving subjects, only one, using 00-4-7, returned unharmed. The other came back in a near catatonic state, able only to remove himself from the room, then collapsed, and had to be restrained to prevent him from gouging out his eyes. See Appendix A, Mental Health Effects of SCP-004. The subject, using SCP-004-7, said that he had entered a large room, impossibly big for the size of the attached building. After his exit, SCP-004-1 was propped open, and an armed squad of Level 3 personnel entered. The size of the room is impossible to measure, and the door frame and the individual's own room are the only part of the room that can be filled or eliminated. July 16th, 1949. The juvenile suspects and Sheriff Blank are terminated. August 2nd, 1949. Blank is declared a hazardous area due to unexploded ordnance, and fences erected in order to prevent civilian ingress. Tests to determine safety of exposure to environment behind SCP-004-1 begin. December 1st, 1950, space-time anomalies resulting from exposure to 004 are confirmed. Testing is suspended until further notice. July 2nd, the unaccounted for remains of SCP-004 Cas-01 appear unexpectedly outside of 004-1 despite being killed decades before. The remains of Cas-1 are not decomposed in any manner and are still warm to the touch. Blood remains uncoagulated. The remains are remanded for testing. July 4th, 19 blank. The unaccounted for remains of one of the 12 original test subjects appear in similar manner to that of the Cas-1. The remains have been designated SCP-004 Cas-02. Records suggest that both Cas-1 and Cas-2 used SCP-004-blank. March 21st, 1999, with the massive proliferation of nuclear weapons in World War III only blank years away, construction has begun on a site inside of SCP-004-1. The site is to stock supplies for blank person days. April 21st, 1999, blank has ordered the site inside of 4-1 to be expanded to include emergency storage for all mobile SCP blank specimens and blank petabyte databases for all storage of SCP data. The facility is now referred to as Site 62. September 25th of 2000. Site 62 is operational. Labs and containment units are complete and contain most dangerous specimens. Backup of SCP databases has begun. January 25th, 2001. Due to time anomalies, see time anomaly below, all personnel working at Site 62 are now required to reside on site permanently. Families of personnel are to be informed that loved ones perished in an industrial accident. Cloned bodies have been prepared for funeral. August 14th, 2003. Massive power outage across northeast United States and through Canada due to initial failure of multiple SCP generators. Site 62 was out of power for 53 minutes. During those 53 minutes, those on site were complete without any source of light. They reported sensing creatures and people, although no abnormal entities could be seen or felt. Selected facility personnel were allowed to read blank Appendix A and say creatures sensed were of humanoid size, but otherwise similar to the massive green creature described. Space-time anomalies. SCP-004 seems to propagate anomalies. Personnel leaving the facility report losing time. Those who have been in the site for weeks insist that they've only been in this facility for several days, and records of work completed and supplies consumed support these claims. Other temporal entities, including 004-2 through SCP-00-blank has been assigned to investigate all aspects of these time anomalies. Spatial anomalies include impossibly large dimensions of the area opened by 4-7. Similarly to 2003 black entities suggest there exists an alternate plane of existence within the same space that 62 occupies. Additional notes. Testing on SCP-004 refers that 10 of the keys open SCP-004 on a dimension where laws of physics and topology are different to those of our home dimension. Test meetings hospitals are torn apart. Their bodies are deposited at various locations, only 3 of which have been verified to be on Earth. Material deposited at 2 of these points appear immediately. Material deposited at the 3rd appears exactly blank years into the future. The other 7 locations are currently unknown. Current testing focuses on 2 avenues of research. The first is finding ways to survive the hostile topologies. The second, blank, suggests that 004-2 through 13 may open doors other than SCP-004-1. Mental health effects of SCP-004-12. All D-Class personnel using 4-12 return in a catatonic state, unable to speak. Some may have enough energy left to try to claw out their eyes. Of the 16 subjects, only 4 have survived. Only 1 has regained speech following long-term psychotherapy. He was able to tell the psychiatrist that he saw a massive green creature so large that much of its body extended beyond his field of view. He reported innate fear and sudden recognition, as if something buried deep in his primal fears, and forced implantation of incomprehensible memories. Subject displays acute, antegrade, and retrograde amnesia. Appendix B, additional information. Date of discovery, 9-02-1950. Origin of object. Object was discovered elsewhere in factory area in the previously undiscovered manager's office. Description. Object appears to be a large, unvarnished wooden box. The box may be unlocked by the safe key, SCP-004-7, as well as 5 of the other unsafe keys. Opening upon unlocking 04-14 with 04-7, the box opens automatically on tensions. The volume of space inside is precisely 5 times greater than other dimensions imply. Items placed within while the lid remains open do not affect the weight or other properties of the box. When the lid is closed and locked, however, all items inside vanish irretrievably. Personnel locked inside the box are also irretrievable, although losing personnel in this fashion appears to affect significantly the dreams experienced by blank. Well, there you have it. That is all we have currently of SCP-00-4. Thank you for listening. If you like this series, please subscribe and like. Let me know down in the comments any suggestions you have. I will listen. I'm doing my best to make these episodes better, longer, hopefully more interesting. Maybe eventually my technologies I have at my disposal will improve. The Foundation doesn't really give me a whole lot at the moment. Until next time.